Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter and happy Resurrection Day. They are called both today. Today is Sunday, April 9th. So, today we are going to be reading out of a few different chapters, but three of the chapters will be very small verses, and then one of them will be longer. So, here we go. Matthew chapter 17, and we're going to look for verse number 22. When they were going about here and there in Galilee, Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is going to be turned over into the hands of men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised to life again on the third day." And they were deeply and exceedingly grieved and distressed. Now we're going to turn to Mark chapter 9, and we're going to look for verse number 30. So here it is, Mark chapter 9, verse number 30. They went on from there and passed along through Galilee, and he did not wish to have anyone know it, for he was engaged for the time being in teaching his disciples. He said to them, "The Son of Man is being delivered into the hands of men, and they will put him to death, and when he has been killed, after 3 days he will rise from death." But they did not comprehend what he was saying, and they were afraid to ask him what this statement meant. So Jesus predicted his own death, and he told people, and they didn't understand what was going on, but eventually they did find out. Now we're going to turn to Mark chapter 15, and we're going to start reading many verses, starting with verse 1. And immediately when it was morning, the chief priests with the elders and scribes and the whole council held a consultation, and when they had bound Jesus, they took him away violently and handed him over to Pilate. And Pilate inquired of him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he replied, "It is as you say." And the chief priests kept accusing him of many things. And Pilate again asked him, "Have you no answer to make? See how many charges they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no further answer at all, so that Pilate wondered and marveled. Now at the feast he was accustomed to set free for them any one prisoner whom they requested. And among the rioters in the prison who had committed murder in the insurrection there was a man named Barabbas. And the throng came up and began asking Pilate to do as he usually did for them. And he replied to them, "Do you wish me to set free for you the king of the Jews?" For he was aware that it was because they were prompted by envy that the chief priests had delivered him up. But the chief priests stirred in the crowd to get him to release for them Barabbas instead. And again Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with the man whom you call the king of the Jews?" And they shouted back again, "Crucify him." But Pilate said to them, "Why? What has he done that is evil?" But they shouted with all their might all the more, "Crucify him at once." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, set Barabbas free for them. And after having Jesus whipped, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers led him away to the courtyard inside the palace, that is, the praetorium, and they called the entire detachment of soldiers together. And they dressed him in a purple robe, and weaving together a crown of thorns, they placed it on him. And they began to salute him, "Hail, greetings, good health to you, long life to you, King of the Jews." And they struck his head with a staff made of a bamboo like reed, and spat on him, and kept bowing their knees in homage to him. And when they had finished making sport of him, they took the purple robe off him, and put his own clothes on him, and they led him out of the city to crucify him. And they forced a passer-by, Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus, who was coming in from the field to a country to carry his cross. And they led him to Golgotha, Latin Calvary, meaning the place of a skull. And you can find this place in a YouTube video, so search for that. And they attempted to give him wine mingled with myrrh, but he would not take it. And they crucified him, and they divided his garments and distributed them among themselves, throwing lots for them to decide who should take what. And it was the third hour, about 9 o'clock in the morning, when they crucified him. And the inscription of the accusation against him was written above, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 robbers, one on his right hand and one on his left. And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, He was counted among the transgressors. And those who passed by kept reviling him and reproaching him abusively in harsh and insolent language, wagging their hands and saying, Aha, you who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days. Now rescue yourself from death, coming down from the cross. So also the chief priests with the scribes made sport of him to one another, saying, He rescued others from death, himself he is unable to rescue. Let the Christ, the Messiah, the King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see it, and trust in, and rely on him, and adhere to him. Those who were crucified with him also reviled and reproached him, speaking abusively, harshly, and insolently. And when the 6th hour about midday had come, there was a darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour about 3 o'clock. And at the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me, deserting me and leaving me helpless and abandoned? And some of those standing by and hearing it said, See, he is calling Elijah. And one man ran, and filling a sponge with vinegar, a mixture of sour wine and water, put it on a staff made of a bamboo-like reed, and gave it to him to drink, saying, Hold off, let's see whether Elijah does come and take him down. And Jesus uttered a loud cry and breathed out his life, and the curtain of the Holy of Holies of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood facing him saw him expire this way, he said, Really, this man was God's son. And the last reading we're going to be doing is from John chapter 16, verse number 33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have perfect peace and confidence. In the world you have tribulation and trials and distress and frustration, but be of good cheer. Take courage, be confident, certain, undaunted. For I have overcome the world. I have deprived it of power to harm you and have conquered it for you. That's from Jesus. And that's also here in the book called The Red Letter Words of Jesus by Jack Countryman. In the world you will have tribulation. Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Again with John chapter 16, verse 33. And there is a reading over here on the side, but you can read that when you have this book, when you order it. And again, that is from The Red Letter Words of Jesus by Jack Countryman. And today's reading was out of the Amplified Bible by Zondervan. And today, as you can tell, here is April 9th, Easter. And last Friday was Good Friday. Thursday was the first day of Passover. And last Sunday, the second, was Palm Sunday. Now, I will be having more videos uploaded today. Check for those videos. This is video number 1. I will be having video number 2 and video number 3 made and uploaded this morning. So check for those and feel free to share those with your friends and family and with other people that you just may run into. And feel free to refer back to these Bible verses anytime that you need them. Have a great Resurrection Day and check for the next videos.